Last time I did a wefting tutorial, I showed you how to sew individual wefts that could be placed in strips on your monster build. Today, I'll show you a different method that doesn't involve a sewing machine that may fit your taste better. Hi, I'm Kazul and welcome to Audio Limbo. So today I'm here to share with you this alternate wefting method. This method has less steps and less material waste and may work better in some applications than the wefts from my last video tutorial. You can check the link in the upper corner now to watch that tutorial and judge for yourself which one would be better for your situation and project. I stumbled upon this technique by watching Adam Savage's Wookiee Suit Up video from 2017. It was really cool to see the insides of a Wookiee costume, especially how they did the long hair. It was just fibers latched onto a mesh. I was very inspired from what I saw, and I've been dying to use it on a project since. I'll leave links to everything in the description so you can get inspired too. So first I'll show you how to do it and then show you a project I built with it. Here's the ingredients you need to get this ritual of summoning started. At its most basic, you'll only need some sports mesh, a latch hook, and some hair fiber. For helping the fibers stay on the sports mesh better, you'll need a flat iron, a wet rag. I ended up using a different one than shown here. Or you could use a steamer. You could also use fabric glue or these neat hair extension beads. I'll only be showing the flat iron method in this video, but leave some resources for you in the description to figure out how to do the rest. Here I'm going to show you a little bit closer up. So here's the latch hook. I'm going to find like a horizontal line like this one. And I'm going to go up underneath it, up over the one in there. You want to make sure to clear it so that the latch hook, when you pull down, it'll automatically close the latch. You see that? Okay, so now the step before that, you want to take the hair that you have and wrap it around the base like this. Then you find that and go up and over. So now you've got your hair down here and your hook up like that. And what you want to do is take this hair and together you want it like under the latch part and then crossing over to the other side of the hook like that. So that when the latch closes, it hooks around the hair that's there, just like that. And then when you pull down and pull all that hair through, sometimes you gotta muscle it through. There you go. So now you have that. You have a nice little knot that's holding that hair in place. Let me show you that one more time. So I'm gonna go just past, just horizontal from that to like skipping this one and going to this one. So I'm gonna go, oh, whoops, take and loop my hair around, go up the mesh, click past it, make sure that the hair is under the latch, then over the hook. Just like that. Clip it shut, pull down. There you go. Got a nice, beautiful knot right there next to it. Now, if I finished this row and wanted to go up the row, I would want to take and I skipped one here, so I'm going to skip one row here. Then I'm going to go up to this one that I skipped right above it. So like this. So take the hair. So this one up to I'm going to make sure the latch is down. I want up to hook it around in there. So you've got like this little pattern. So this hair fills in the gap from that hair. And if I lift this up a little, you can see it fills in that gap. But that's one density you could do, just following these patterns. There's so many different patterns you can do to fill it in the optimal amount that you'll need for your project. I think this was about the density that I used on my goatman's beard. So just an additional note about these patterns, if you do them closer together, it'll be much more dense and have a lot more volume. If you do them farther apart, it'll hang straighter. Like the Wookiee costumes, their spacing is actually quite far apart. Also, the density will probably affect how much heat it holds in. A looser density, of course, would let heat out a lot better than a tighter density. So for the project I decided to try to make a gradient mohawk. That's where I saw one of the strengths of this method is that you could mix the hair and create these really cool gradients. So what I'm doing here is that I'm just dividing up some hair into 5 different piles with different amounts of blue and black hairs in each of them. So I'm basically dividing them into parts, and it ended up being like I used like 4 parts. One part that's like 4 parts black. Then the next section was 3 parts black and 1 part blue, and then 2 parts black and 2 parts blue, so on and so forth. And I went ahead and mixed them together by the same method that I showed in my last wefting video, just doing the shuffling and mixing. It's kind of time consuming, but I think the effect was worth it. Then I got started on my build. As you can see here, I made a little paper template behind the mesh that I was working on to show like where the different sections went. Also, I have my project propped up on a magnetic whiteboard. I covered it with a paper just to take down the shine in the video so that I could just use these cool magnetic clips and hooks that I have to hold things in place as I worked. It's not necessary, but it was quite a handy setup to have. I also have taken my hair and already pre-divided it into small sections of what I felt was about the right amount of fur. You can go thinner or thicker. Thicker makes it much harder to pull through the mesh and much harder to get a nice knot. So I would err on the side of being thinner. With the rag and the straightener. So what I'm doing there is I'm just taking that wet rag and dripping water onto the knot while I'm pulling it tight with the other hand. Then I take the straightener and immediately press on the knot. So that creates a lot of steam and sets the Kanekalon into the shape that it's in. So instead of wanting to unravel the knot naturally and lay straight, it'll hold that knot shape much better. Now, when I got done with this and started brushing it, I thought that that was sufficient enough to hold the knot in place. Maybe if I did a test where I was actually sewed it into a bodysuit and started wearing it around, that might not be enough. Also, in certain applications, it might be hard to maneuver your straightener into place to get that nice little sear. While I was working here, it was nice just because it was a small little section and I just built up in rows, and as I completed a row, I would go and steam it down. That's where the other methods would come in, like using the beads to set each individual knot to clamp it down would work. or to go in after and apply glue to the back end of the knot. So yeah, like I said, I haven't tested each of those ways and their durability yet, but those are just my thoughts on each one. So this picture shows about the density that I was first latch hooking at. Later on in the build, like towards the middle of the mohawk, I had the idea that maybe I should try spreading it out to see what it would do. And it didn't work out exactly as I planned. So you'll see me change up the spacing a little bit as I go up the build, and I'll show you the result of that and why I don't think it's a good idea for this particular application. It would work better with a Wookiee costume. You wouldn't want to go this dense on a Wookiee costume because it would make you a really fluffy Wookiee. But for like hair puff on a fursuit, it may be better to go this dense or even more dense through the entire piece of hair. And at this point, you can see I'm kind of weaving in the next color of hair. So the part that had like 3 parts blue and 1 part black mixed in, I just was doing every other for just a couple rows to make the transition a little nicer. It was a nice thing with the magnets. I could just slide the project closer to me as I built it up. So it was actually like a pretty handy setup that I just sort of stumbled upon. And you see here, I accidentally forgot to steam the lower row, so I just pinned up the hair real quick and did that lower row and then went and set the top row. There's little goof ups you can make. But here you see, like, this is about the spacing that I started using in this middle section. It was a mistake for this project, and I wish I would have kept the same density. Not like there's anything stopping me from going back and adding more. I'm sure I could just go back, kind of clip up the hair in the row above and add in a few more of these knots to increase the density because I still have some extra hair. I started getting denser towards the back just because I thought it might need it because that area will be fighting against gravity. And there we go, there's the finished weft. This is after I've trimmed it up a bit, but you can see there's like a really cool gradient going on there and it moves really well. And I was happy with how well the knots were holding in place. Like I said, I haven't really stress tested it, but I was happy. So you can see there like the changes in the density that I did. It's a trick with any kind of fur. Make it so the direction it wants to flow is going up to trick it into having more volume. It definitely needs some hairstyling first to be able to have the volume that you'd want for a mohawk. I still think that it moves really cool. So to do some rough trimming and styling, I just pinned it to this foam head that I had to hold it in place. What I'm doing here is just doing back combing, common method to add more volume to your hair and get it to stay in gravity defying situations. It would help to use hairspray at this point too. I didn't actually have any in my workroom, so I was just seeing how far I could get with the ratting the hair. I'm also using the straightener a bit to pull out the natural crinkles that the Kanekalon has. Also using scissors to trim it up, to define its shape a little better. But you're still beginning to see like how especially right at the back of the head, like it definitely needed more density there because you can totally see down into the mesh. And in that area, that's really fighting against gravity right there. But I mean, I got it to stand up okay. Hairspray would help, and it still looks pretty cool. But here you see, I brushed out the hair again. I brushed the rat tails out. just so you could see the hair, how it would lay, just in case you didn't style it one time when you wanted to wear your costume. So it's nice and full in the front and right at the base. It just really needed that extra density in the middle section. I still love how it moves. And the color gradient turned out so well. I was very pleased with that part. Oh, and if you're interested, I don't have any need for this mohawk that I built. I don't have it for any particular project. So if you want it, it's for sale in my Etsy store. So that was basically how to do this method. I really think that there's a lot of potential to it. It's really cool and fun, and it went a whole lot quicker than my other wefts that I made. The other wefts, they have their place. I think that there's a lot of potential for both techniques, but I definitely want to experiment more with this particular technique in the future, just to create those nice gradients and have that nice flow over a large square footage of area that was a little bit more difficult with the sewn wefts. So this technique will be my go-to for that. I'll tell you guys a secret plan of mine. I've always wanted to make a Wookiee costume, but not the traditional just browns and grays. I thought it would be fun to make like a flower child rainbow colored Wookiee. I don't know if I'll ever get to do that, but I think that would be fun, and this would be perfect for that just because you could get all these really cool gradients between colors. And of course it was used on for Wookiee costumes all over the replica prop forum and stuff. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed. So you may have noticed that this video is formatted a little differently than my usual. I actually got most of the footage last year when I was very sick and pregnant. I tried my darndest to finish the video then, but I was just way too sick and exhausted. But I did deliver a healthy baby girl in September, and I've finally been putting in the effort to finishing the footage. So I hope it was coherent enough. I had to kind of scratch things together. And it's been tough trying to figure out a schedule of taking care of my daughter and working on projects and my YouTube channel. I am trying my best, and I'm just having to adjust my approach to things and figure out a better way that'll work for me now, plus different projects that'll use less harmful chemicals. That's something very important to me now. I have some ideas, so I hope you'll subscribe and stick around for more. So as always, thank you for watching. I'm Kazul, reminding you to embrace your inner beast.